to distance.
In theater coming up is the live.
Oh, hey, we're live.
We're live already. Oh my gosh!
Right.
He's like telling me live. Hello and welcome to another episode of
live.
How Did You Get There? A show where we're critical of thoughts, ideas, opinions, and beliefs, but not necessarily the people that hold them.
These ideas and thoughts and beliefs that we are critical of, anything we say on the show is us, not Jess, Jess FM, Jess TV, anybody awkwardly named Jess with 3 S's, or anybody else. Really, it's just us. If you have a problem, please engage with us, and we'd like to find out. We might even have you on the show to talk about why we offended you and how did you get there.
How did you get there? Today, we brought a guest. His name is Eric.
Hi, Eric.
Hello. Eric. And Eric is here because we wanted to talk about, well, political cartoons and memes, and maybe if there's a crossover. Who knows? I feel like a little bit. But that's why we brought on experts.
Okay. Yay, local expert.
Local expert.
Do meme experts usually look like this?
Yes,
no? Okay.
I think probably perfectly.
Paste your skin, maybe. I don't know. They look a lot like this. Grandpa memes.
Well, yeah. So this all started with me. I found an older political cartoon by a Theo Lasig fella, Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, Theodore Geisel.
And yeah, it sort of sharpened the point on an America First policy and comparing it to the interesting Siamese bearded. It was interesting. Anyway, this brought us all to how sometimes a sharp political cartoon is like any other piece of art. This is what I was thinking, that they can be, in fact, timeless. And sometimes they just get rebranded, refreshed. Sometimes whole new things come out of it. I feel like where music is sometimes like the vanguard of the philosophy, I think that the political cartoons are the vanguard of critical thinking. That's just me, though.
Very highfalutin. Right.
I know, I think things.
Can you bring it back down to earth for us?
So tell us, we brought you here. What do you do?
My name is Eric, and I work as a cartoonist in Lethbridge, and also an art educator. I've been drawing comics and cartoons and editorial illustrations for 30 years now.
So those are all sounding the same to me. What are the differences of those things?
Comics and comic storytelling is usually using cartoon drawings, or any kind of drawings, really. Cartoon just means drawing. To tell stories. Usually that means with little boxes, sometimes word bubbles, but always little boxes to break up time and tell the story. Editorial illustrations is often where a client is giving me an article or a theme or something, and I'm creating a visual hook to the image that's on the page. So if you think about some of the magazines, you open up a Maclean's and you see engaging illustration, and then the themes of that illustration are explored more deeply in the article. That's considered editorial illustration.
Back in the day, it would have been like the article is about the ongoing lineage of the royal family, and you get a beautiful caricature-esque of then Prince Charles.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Right, and you know who it is because of the shape of the nose, and the rest.
Not the ears at all.
And how they highlight the ears.
Yeah. And if the article is critical or digging into social criticisms of that royalty, then the illustration is probably going to have tones of that to set the article ahead.
Yeah.
And then political cartoon?
So political cartoon would be either a gag drawing. Typically I do political comics, which means more than one panel, and tackling an issue of the day. For myself, political cartooning is a bit fuzzy, just because there's, even going back to the Dr. Seuss drawing that you're talking about, the idea of a single image gag, and probably labels on everything, and a really over-the-top metaphor of some sort. That's often what people think of, and it's often what we find in many of our smaller regional newspapers, because they pay for those very general, broad, safe cartoons from a syndicate distributor, and political cartooning can be much more exciting and much more sharp-toothed, and lots of ways to tell stories and reasons to do political cartooning that are beyond are you dressed up as tax cuts for Halloween or whatever
yeah.
Yes.
What about the fully animated? Is that a separate thing? Like if there's like Cranky Snowman or something, and he does he's funny. Cranky, I don't know, he's funny. But it's like full animated, like sort of mockumentaries almost. Or I saw another one about Sammy Littleshiv, and it's like this little knife blade that explains all about the U.S. prison system, right?
I need to see that.
And I mean, so any.
I know that the nib.com, which will come up again, I hope. They for a little while they were doing some episodic TV shows that were animating basically some of the short form comics that they're staple arts, and they were The tricky part with animation is it takes so long. You've got to be very broad in order for it to still be timely. And that one you described of exploring the U.S. prison system, you could work on that cartoon for a very long time, and it would still.
yeah. Actually, I mean, the stats really haven't changed. The implementation of the so that's. I just wondered if that was apolitical animation.
It absolutely can be. I know Scott Bateman used to do some, and. Even if you look at the history of National Film Board animations, certainly we can get into every cartoon and every comic is political.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Like, I mean, to bulk it back to my college days, right? What is art? Well, art conveys a message, and then so good art actually conveys the message the artist intended, and. I think that weighs out pretty good. That people are making a statement by whatever they have drawn, be it the graffiti, be it any other thing. But it's the impact that the artist hopes to have, what reads, what message, all those things.
So my work keeps me in the digital realm a ton, and so I'm quite exposed to memes. I have a deep spot. I have a deep spot in my heart, but the doctors are looking after it.
That's right.
For the notion of a meme, which is just an idea, which originally was just an idea that's passed on socially.
Okay.
It's a take on gene, right? That's why we have memes, is because it's mimetic. It's from memory, but it's passed on like a gene. It's how we know things about things that happened in previous generations without ever having really been specifically taught it.
Like that.
That was the original notion of a meme.
Mm-hmm.
You're also kind of describing visual literacy.
Yeah, and there's a whole lot of layering goes on with that. But what has come out of this is we are taking legacy media, legacy pop culture, and repurposing it to make new statements that are still the old statement, but now a new statement. And that's typically what a meme is. From its basest, where there was a time when there was a cat, the lol cat.
Right, yeah.
Cat has cheeseburger.
Mm-hmm.
We're definitely getting into the realm where we're questioning Jeffrey's idea of timeless.
but the thing about that is
you threw that out there.
So they're really typically used for humor. You would have that. You would have the cat, and maybe you give the cat. You buff the picture a little bit and give the cat maybe a slightly orange face.
And have cheeseburger. See, timeless.
Can has Ukraine, right? And then suddenly you have one of these. You've taken an old idea where it's an idiot idea, pasted the new political culture on it, and go, yep, this is the exact same idiocy as it was when it was a cat asking for a cheeseburger. Right? So, to my mind, there's that great aspect to it. And I'm also a little bit lazy. I don't have to think of a new idea. And so I was thinking, pretty much everyone has seen the guy walking down the street holding hands with a woman and he's looking back at a woman coming the other way, and the woman he's holding hands with is looking back at him, and that has been just blatantly repurposed with labels for his, like, PhD candidate holding hands with current idea, and new idea is walking the other way, right? And it's hilarious there. And I thought, I could do that, and we could have like Donald Trump in the middle holding hands with Vladimir Zelensky, and then Putin's walking the other way, right? And it sends the same message.
You
It's
wouldn't
like,
even have to. You just have to write the word Trump Zelensky.
oh yeah,
And that's why maybe we want to push back on laziness, because Dick Brown said that a successful cartoon is the shortest distance between your idea and then someone else understanding it. And you are relying on a well-distributed, well-understood, and accepted image to convey that idea, and it's happening at lightning speed. If that's just showing up in someone's feed for 30 seconds, and all they've got are those words on that stock photo,
3 words.
that's amazing to me that there is that much comprehension, and then your additional layer of repurposing the identities within that meme. That's incredible to me that we could communicate that quickly. And with memes, it's maybe a little less work. With cartoons and comics, it's a tremendous amount of work for the same 1 second of eyeball time.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Except that I think that the successful cartoons, claim original, but for very broad strokes original, that it's the same thing. That you actually have to be successful with your message, with your cartoon, you have to tap into the zeitgeist, as people once might have said, the mimetic, the cultural norms, the cultural memories. Like if you were to draw on deep British cartoon imagery,
Right,
and deep British memetics, you wouldn't get the same hit here. It might be tremendously funny somewhere in the UK or amongst the expats, but there's going to be a huge disconnect.
and it's every new thing you make is a gamble, or you're trying to figure out who it is you're trying to reach, and are you going to actually be able to communicate that? You always think of Easter eggs or buried in-jokes that there might be, but if you can't show it to a stranger and they don't get to the heart of what you're getting at, even if they don't know any of those references, then not only do you have a limited audience, but you definitely have to question yourself, am I communicating efficiently?
Am I making cartoon dog whistles?
Right. Yeah.
Like, is this specifically supposed to only be funny or accessible to a particular subgroup? And that's a problem with memes too.
And is that subgroup those who are politically aware, or is it much smaller?
I always want to believe that the political cartoon is meant to awaken an idea within somebody, right? Like, not cash in on an already nested idea. Like, I wouldn't.
And when
I don't
we're
think
talking the gag cartoons, right? One panel.
Yeah.
Cartoons.
I don't think they're meant to. I mean, they are and have been used as. But I would like to think they're meant to generate pushback or something, rather than just a reassurance to those that already accept that idea, right? Like, I find that Elon Musk memes are just a reassurance of those that support him, rather than,
or vice versa.
right?
It could be very surface level criticism.
But they aren't. Yeah, they aren't meant to engage, bring new people into what he's thinking, right? They're
Or
not
bring new people into
thinking,
or being against him. Like the one that I saw was a very 1930s style, old-timey
Driving with Hitler classic poster.
Yeah, something. Well, it was kind of like that, but it was like it was just him leaning in, and in very Germanic. It was an illustration style and very old classic Germanic lettering, as you might say. It said hair plugs, and it was like a young balding Elon Musk.
Yeah.
PayPal Elon Musk.
Yeah, and it was back when he was
But hair
just.
plugs. I think I definitely retweeted that one.
The HERR plugs.
Yeah.
I was like, and just like you can see this, and you don't see that hairline on him now.
Yeah.
You see the hairline sort of up one arm.
That was well done.
And
still kind of on topic.
So, is it always struck me when I was looking at political cartoons and my exposure to the editorial cartoon, which is a particular niche part of that, started in grade 4. The Lethbridge Herald used to employ its own editorial cartoonist. And then he moved to Calgary, and then
Jack Larder, I think.
Yeah, it was Jack Larder.
Yeah.
He actually came into our art class in grade 4.
Oh, wow.
And we did some things.
Wow.
With Mrs. Barr.
Mrs. Barr, I had Mrs. Barr.
Hey, Mrs. Barr. Yeah, so we had Jack Larder come in and give us a little cartoon. Yeah, can't do that today. I mean, you can.
I certainly do school visits.
Yeah.
I play nice with others.
Yay!
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you what to say, but I'm going to give you some tools to be able to say it, what you got to say. Right? And then, honestly, I think as a teacher, that's probably a good way.
As a cartooning and comics teacher, that is always my goal, whether a kid's class or an adult class. This is a valid form of expression. Here's how to do it better and more efficiently, and here's how to feel more confident in doing it. That's my bar of success for when I'm teaching those classes.
Yeah. I might go home and bitch about whatever you just cartooned, but you're well within your rights to cartoon that. I will fight for your right to be wrong.
Freedom of expression. You can say whatever you want. You're not free of consequences.
No, yeah.
But you are welcome to say all the things. And in my life, encouraged to say all the things. And I will call you a dummy if I think you're a dummy. But I will typically back that up with why. Like, I won't just say you're a dummy. I'll say, I think you're a dummy about this thing for these reasons. Please explain. Tell me more.
It's really stupid. Why?
It's the skill I'm honing on dealing with people on the X.
Oh, it's fun.
Did you stay on the X? You stayed on the X?
I stayed on the X. I lived for it.
I'm trying.
Someone's got to fight.
Yeah. But
I didn't leave Alberta either.
People say dumb things.
You can see in the wind.
Shooting for the stars.
The ants are my friends. They're pissing in the wind. So I when somebody says something somewhat disagreeable or somewhat weirdly argumentative, tell me more about this. I don't understand how you got from here to here.
Yeah.
Like, just tell me more. Like, I think the idea of asking people how they got there, especially if they can't express it, is very important, which ties back to what you were saying about having that single panel or those 2-3 panels just in a tight format.
Yeah.
Who's it to? Yeah. Am I connecting the dots for those people, right? And if I see a cartoon from you and I go, that doesn't sound right. I hope you'll appreciate when I send you a message.
Absolutely.
Hey, Eric, I saw this thing. I don't understand. I don't get this. I don't believe that's true. Tell me more.
Yeah.
Right. That is I think that's
any of my fan mail is worded that way. Hate mail, fan mail. What's the right word for it? Yes, I totally get.
Your engagement.
What you're saying, and I'm also cartooning in a small community where I'm going to run into people who see my comics, whether they like them or not.
Yep.
In the community, and so I need to be prepared for that level of engagement, and certainly welcome it. That doesn't seem to be the level of discourse that I've experienced. So.
No, but hope springs eternal.
Of course.
Like, honestly, if all the discourse started, if all the negative discourse started with, I don't think I understand, please tell me more.
I think maybe one of the reasons that I don't experience that a lot is because of my starting point with the political cartoon, and that is always an audience of one. It's for myself. I am often exploring an idea, or I'm trying to figure out something so I better understand it. I'm figuring if I'm struggling with it, there were probably other folks in the same position as me. If I do a bit of a deep dive here, then maybe we can all benefit from that. I might have an opportunity to talk to somebody that could better illuminate this situation, or I've been reading something that I want to share with everybody and connect it to the topic that's really important that we're discussing.
I always appreciate
a really boring example of that would be the grid alerts that we had last spring. I did not understand for the life of me why it was happening, or why it was a big deal, or why everybody was saying it's this side's fault and everyone's saying it's that side's fault. So I did embarrassed, what was it, 16 panels or way too long, but I needed to understand the issue, and the comic was my way of just digging into that and reaching out to Blake Schaefer in Calgary to learn more about it, because he certainly seemed to be the person who understood the situation the best, and then my comic is shared, and others might benefit from that. That's a fairly sincere approach, and so maybe that's why.
Have you ever jotted one down and been like, that cannot get published?
Oh yeah. Or
from my standpoint, I say I delete as much as I tweet, right? Like, do I need to bother with this?
I like to criticize the comics that are lazy or too easy, or fit into this silly trope of kind of where Canadian editorial cartooning is right now, of really lazy recycled jokes. However, we all have those in us, and I usually doodle them and throw them out, get that out of the way, and then, all right, let's go a little bit deeper.
I try and brainstorm, but usually it's just like a light drizzle.
It's a foggy day.
It's just fog.
Everyone has bad drawings in them, and get them out. Don't be ashamed of them, but also keep going so you do better.
That's actually a thing, differently, but it's adjacent, I guess. Took my daughter to an illustrations class because she was liking the idea of writing pictures for children's books and stuff.
Oh.
And the nice lady there was like, "See this pen? Yes, use that. Don't use a pencil," she said, "because you'll erase the thing that you did wrong, and you won't know where you went wrong the next time you want to do a thing. Then when you've got it figured out, trace it." She's like, "Take a big piece of tracing paper." And that's how you start to learn where. She's like, "Just don't erase your mistakes," was her big deal. It's just
interesting.
Keep your mistakes so you can see where. I was like, ah. And then all the classic cartooning of, draw circles, longer, shorter, wider. Eyeball placement.
I think an extension or a modern version of her idea is certainly when I have students drawing digitally, and that undo button is right there, and you could get a student who sits there for an hour trying to get one line right, when they could have drawn it wrong, but then also done the rest of the drawing and figured out what was successful.
Yeah.
Had the experience.
Finish the rest of the drawing,
instead of just
and then figure out where the line's supposed to be.
Yeah. And maybe you'll find out that line wasn't that important anyways, and if it's a little bit not right, it doesn't matter because your idea came through.
Yep.
And so with that undo button or eraser, maybe it will stop you from even that idea.
Right? Like finished. I don't lose my mind because every cartoon I see has only 3 fingers. Right? Like it's not the end of the world because hands are stupidly goofy big if you draw them.
If you put all the fingers on a cartoon hand,
they look silly.
It looks ridiculous.
Yeah. Do you know why they're 3 fingers? Or they're chopped up?
No.
Animation. Hand drawn animation, you had to draw every single panel.
Yeah.
If you were at 24 frames per second, that means a hand waving is 24 times in 1 second wave, and you're going to chop off anything that'll make it easier to draw.
Yeah. Like any of the kind of.
This is a complicated mess, and a little mitten with fat fingers.
I guess you still have to go there, and you still have to figure out muscle structure and stuff before you do the fine art before you do the fun art.
I saw a photograph. Allegedly, it's an accurate photograph of Marjorie Taylor Greene in open-toed shoes. I think it was Marjorie.
What websites are you on?
It was on the X, but it was like it was circled.
Those toads are closeted as far
as
I know.
And then. There's
rightwingfootfetishes.com
apparently, and then there was a pullout. There was a zoom of the fact that she's only got like a couple of toes on each foot. And I thought I was just going to wholesale repost this with with content warning, not for the lactose intolerant.
Nice. However,
so
beat you to it.
No, but I thought I would fact check the photo.
Mm-hmm.
That was the problem with the joke. Is it true?
That was the entire problem with the joke. There was nothing else wrong with that joke.
No.
You gotta have priorities, right? Like.
That's the only thing wrong. She actually has all of her toes, so we can't make this.
So I don't make this
totally fell through.
Well, and also I did also have as like a tertiary thought after this was like, is it fair to make a joke at the expense of someone's physical appearance? And my answer ended up being depends on the someone.
Turnabout is fair play.
That was where I was getting to. It's like, if you
I
can,
wouldn't normally mock
meaning
it.
you're criticizing someone who is very quick to criticize that
Yes.
someone else. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like it still feels low. And
I have told the
And you're talking about an individual with no lack of much more substantial things to criticize.
yeah, there are important things about an individual that are worth and definitely verifiably criticizable, as opposed to missing digits. I mean, it does maybe explain the instability.
And it even is something that cartoonists have to address all the time. Is we traffic in communication that's so fast that stereotypes or visual shorthand is often going to be right at hand and very easy to rely on, and that's something that cartoonists have to decide. Is this, can I achieve this some other way? Am I going to cloud the thing that I'm actually criticizing by bringing in all kinds of layers of the history of visual stereotypes and
in stand-up
racism?
stand-up comedy, it's the warning against punching down.
Right. Okay. Yep. I like that.
Right. It's not that you should never punch down, but you should almost never punch down. Like there has to be some really good reason that supersedes that, and it's those are going to be.
I mean, we're kind of playing into your wheelhouse and your study of humor, right? So that's kind of a fair thing. It's a thing he does to.
All right.
Yeah.
To fulfill part of his doctoral thesis.
Yeah, so I'm working the area of humor appreciation, specifically building computer models that emulate the way that we get the joke.
That is not how I thought that sentence would end.
All right.
Yeah, I know. Different computer models.
Nothing says studying humor like different computer models.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's great. I'm using math to get the joke. And it has as near as I can tell, it has everything to do with context, and context is literally if you look at all epistemology, it's all about context. It's what do you know, what can you see that you know, what have you been exposed to that supports the things that you think you know, right? And you can't, without having any context, you can't know anything. Right? I think, therefore I am. But the context is, I'm thinking about existence. The context is, I'm thinking about what can I know. I'm thinking about all of these things. Right? And that's the context. And you build this context for yourself, and you come to a conclusion, and it might be correct. Right? And from philosophy, that's a thing. But in humor, the context is still literally everything. Right? What is my background? What is your background? What is your background? What is your background? And what's happening right now? Are you too warm right now? Are you too cold right now? I'm not too cold right now.
It's even warm for me.
It's toasty in here, and it's lovely.
Happy spring.
Right, and it's all of these context pieces. And from what I've discovered about humor, from a bunch of other people's reading, is there's a bunch of surprise, and that's creates the space that could result in somebody finding something funny, result in humor or mirth. But the time it takes your brain to resolve that sort of distributes that mirth. So if it's very surprising, but you're quick to the punchline, you have the opportunity to find it more funny, based on other context, than if it takes you 6 months to figure out the joke. You will have a different mirthful experience.
You're going, oh, yeah.
Because if it takes you 6 months, for you, also that gap must have been large. So it can still be very funny. But if it takes me 6 months to figure out that the joke, I'd tell you a chemistry joke, but I don't think I'd get a reaction. Right? It's a joke. It's not a very good one. But if it takes you 6 months to figure out that it should have been funny because chemistry and reaction are related words, in 6 months that's not going to be funny. It's just not going to be funny.
What is it, though? It's still something. It's still a reaction.
It's still a reaction. There is still mirth. Like there is still some thing that you could appreciate as humor is just very dilute.
Okay.
Right? So what you're saying, what you have said about...
homeopathy humor.
yeah.
All right, I like that.
I have a note in my phone right now that just says, the joke of Theseus.
Oh, good one.
So, like in philosophy, there's the ship of Theseus.
Okay.
And it's a thought experiment about
At what point something becomes
something
else.
what's point of something else. So Theseus sets sail in his ship, and while he's away, he replaces every piece of his ship, one piece at a time. And when he comes back to shore, there is no original piece.
Right.
Is it the same ship?
Right.
Is it still the ship? Yeah, I mean, there's all. I love the variations of that.
Yeah.
If we take his ship and we cut it in half and we build the missing half, which one is the original ship of Theseus? Right.
If we take off the parts one at a time and replace them,
Yeah.
but keep all the parts that we took apart and
build
reassemble them, do we have two ships
Which
of Theseus? Which one is the ship of Theseus? Right. So,
It's a nice.
and so I was thinking about this the other day in the context of humor, and I thought, if I have this joke and I strip a piece of it away and replace it with something else,
The joke of Theseus.
and then I take this other piece and I strip it away and I put something else that is the same but different.
knock to get to the other side.
Right. At what point is it a different joke, and is it still the same joke? Right. So that prototypical two people carving up the world.
Right.
Check out Wikipedia. Look up political cartoon. It's great. Do your own research.
Well, do that as well. Always. Oh my god.
But that notion is so core to what's going on. It's two people who are treating the whole world as their own to share amongst themselves. But you can slice and dice and homage that.
Yeah.
And it's still the same. It's still the same bit. It's still the same political commentary.
At what point is it?
At what point is it
joke?
not the original joke?
Mm-hmm.
At what point is it not the original commentary? And it doesn't invalidate that commentary of the day, right?
And an additional context is that new cartoonists, deliberate intent to take you back to the feelings or the experience and recognize that previous.
I think that's even a heavy. Like if you're to repurpose that one today, people might lock into, wow, it's been going on this long, right?
Yeah, especially if you use the old plate mechanism of the old plate stylings of it, like just
to evoke the same
aged feel.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
We're halfway through.
Hey folks. We're a little over halfway through. How did you get there? We like to throw in this PSA. Please stand alone. No, not PSA.
Public service announcement?
No, I meant station identification. That's the word.
There you go.
Yeah, you're right. You are watching Jess TV.
Wheezy in the butt.
Wheezy.
We gotta come up with names for the penguin and the platypus that aren't our own. P&P.
The penguin and the platypus went out to sea in a beautiful pea green boat.
I have like a philosophy book called Plato and a Platypus Walk into a Bar.
Yeah.
It's actually very good. Also Aristotle and an aardvark.
Yeah.
So today we're talking about political.
What are we talking about?
Sort of about political cartoons and memes and art and humor and expressing compact expression of complex ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow,
I like that.
With our extra special guest, not he's extra special. It's extra special that we have him as our guest.
Yes,
Eric
yes.
Dick, local cartoonist / author /
Educator.
That's the word I was looking for.
I like educator. Educators are useful.
So,
you said something about something black nib, is that correct?
The nib.
Before the Iraq War, I'm trying to think if I'd seen his work after Bush was first elected in the States. Matt Bors was a cartoonist about the same age as me, but he was really quick to just abandon all of the sashes with politicians' names
I
on
love
them,
that.
or all the weird tags that become overbearing and kind of a visual clumsiness to a lot of the kind of 80s and 90s political cartooning. And he really was just drawing cartoons the same way he would have for a personal cartoon or a fictional comic strip, but he was making the topic and the explorations he was doing political, and it allowed for so much more nuance or fresh kinds of connection making that he was doing between his images and the stories of what was happening today. Someone who was doing something similar in the 90s would have been Tom Tomorrow, who's Big World of Tomorrow, his comic that was, I think, Boing Boing has published it for years and years. But they were two people that I was kind of coming to political awareness while reading. Matt Boers eventually founded thenib.com, which was a collective of cartoonists who were kind of creating a syndicate of political cartoons that were not fitting the mold of the classic one you see on the editorial page. And to the point, and one of the pushbacks on this was one of the reasons that I'm not in a Canadian distributorship of political cartoons is because I draw more than one panel, and immediately that excludes me from a lot of the financial systems that those newspapers work within. And so the Nib became this place for all of the best political commentary and deep dives. They were really big on promoting long form political comics, and in some case, like I can think of Andy Warner comics that would have been maybe even like 10 pages of panels. Like it was really, really rich comic making. That had always been on my mind, and even the comics that I was doing online in the mid-aughts and 2010s around there would have been very much political minded, even if it wasn't overt political cartooning. That's kind of, for me, that is the gold standard right now for political cartooning, is the Nib, even though it sadly went under 2 years ago.
Oh.
Yeah. So use the Wayback Machine. Or are they still online?
They're still online.
Okay.
Their archives are strong. Matt Lubchansky and Matt Boers and Andy Warner, all those guys are easy to find online. Their editors were amazing. Pia Guerre she's a cartoonist in Vancouver who was doing work for the Nib, and all kinds of really neat things.
Cool.
I love that there's whole cultures of cultures. I do. I think it's great.
I had opportunity to meet one of the top, I can't even think of his name, one of the top UK political cartoonists.
Ooh.
When I was at the humor conference 3 years ago,
yeah,
about now, and I think in Italy, and he was talking about humor and the political cartoon, and I think I have the notes somewhere. Oh, I'll share it with you. Yeah,
no doubt, right?
Yeah, but
I want you to be talking about Tom Gould, but it's probably not Tom Gould you're talking about.
I could not tell you because my memory is selective and frequently short. Yeah, but it was interesting. Actually, we sat at the table for a while, and we chatted about all kinds of things that weren't that. But he had one of the keynote presentations about political cartoons and humor, and I was like, this is cool stuff. And he's talking to a very international, fairly small bunch of people, because there's not a lot of members of a couple hundred members of the International Society for Humor Studies. But he was really reaching that broad audience worldwide. And then he was back to back with a short humor from Brazil, doing similar work in Brazil, but not specifically in political cartoon, but in other sorts of short form political activism in humor.
Yeah.
It was just an interesting collection of people.
To appreciate how much richer political cartooning can be compared to Canadian media in a lot of cases. Certainly just even look up the international awards for political cartooning. You'll see things from the Middle East. You'll see things from countries where it is downright dangerous to be producing cartoons like this. But even just to get a sense of comics that you can understand and comprehend without knowing the language. If something is so successfully communicated visually, you'll see a poetry in international political cartooning that we do not see in this side. Just absolutely beautifully thought out images rather than a quickly met deadline scribble drawing. You'll see something that looks like a cartoon that just absolutely came completely formed out of someone's heart onto the page, and that there's an energy there, an urgency, and maybe even a political awareness that we don't always see in the kind of mainstream political cartooning happening in North America.
It strikes me as the excellent film festival fair equivalent, but
I think that's fair. Yeah,
right,
and lots of reasons for that. Some of them commercial, and some of them cultural, and some of them emotional,
personal, and some of them personal safety.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
that's a thing.
Hey, people keep saying that we're oppressed and we don't have free speech or freedom of expression. It's like, oh, sweetie, oh, for the love of Pete.
Here's someone who's actually experiencing that.
Yeah. Here, what I'd like you to do is I would like you to go to this country here and say, and just stand up anywhere in a public forum and say, the government is curtailing my right to speak. I dare you. Right? Then you'll see what it actually means.
Yeah.
Even to think about look at your phone and the last 3 memes that you shared. What if one of those memes were going to mean the police are knocking on your door tomorrow? Are you still sharing that meme? Are you still sharing it to who you're sharing it to?
Yeah.
Are you still audibly sweating while you share that meme? That's a very different experience that you're having with media and expression than people are.
I would like to think, and I'm not certain that's true, but I would like to think that I would stand by them. Like I'm a little bit picky, depending on who my audience is. But even still, there's the things that I share that are messages that I really mean.
So again, in a very simple way, I've used the AI thing, and I've come up with a platypus that says atheism is not naturalism, and I tend to believe that most naturalists are atheists, but the inverse is not necessarily true. I know atheists that believe in ghosts. So it just seems like a quick and simple thing. Yeah, right.
Is this where we take a drink?
Yeah.
No, because
it's related, but it's
so we got that. So
we're reaching for the bottle.
But that's the thing, though. If Christian nationalism were true in Canada currently, I would still believe that. I would still post that. But now the policeman may be knocking at my door, right? So I think I like to think it's the impression that I get. Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, the most upbeat song about surviving. Yeah, I think I'd post the things I still post. There's other things I don't post now because I'm aware of who's watching, who's listening, and I don't think they need to know those things about me. But I think there are things that I hold true that can help others that I think need announcing.
And unfortunately, this is a very real conversation we can have now in Alberta, as we all go to the GoFundMe page for Nate Pike and the Breakdown Alberta.
Yes, please.
Someone who not only is being sued for basically reading out loud other media headlines, newspaper headlines,
things that other people
into a microphone
have published,
other people who have published that they're just sharing it, but also is showing up now his name is in the lawsuits for people trying within the Premier's office, allegedly trying to get someone fired for saying those words into a microphone that were published on somebody else's website.
Yeah, I was going to ask you specifically about Nate Pike.
Well, there's a reason that you go on my website or social media now and you don't see a deep dive comic into the HS scandal, because there's a reason. As much as we might love independent journalism and independent cartoonists and independent podcasters, they do not have the legal and liability protection that the institutionalized media has, and they are the ones. There's a reason Cari Tate gets to post this stuff on the Globe and Mail and do the deep dives we all need, and that people without that protection or institutional support cannot. If you start getting into someone who is that defensively litigious, then you're not going to... there's no gain in me messing around with that and then ending up with everything shut down, and I'm not sharing any cartoons.
So I am kind of hopeful that when this actually shows up in front of an actual judge that's actually willing to
not so far.
Well, they are an actual judge, but a judge who is willing to actually say yes, this is good, or no, this is not good. And
Or
I'm
to
pretty certain.
say why would a
this is-
paramedic be invested in government policy?
Yeah.
That's an actual thing that Judge said.
Why is this a paramedic? Really?
Because
You're
I
a
live
citizen.
here.
Because I'm a citizen. Shouldn't
They live
that
here.
I'm a
doesn't
stakeholder.
that doesn't matter?
I like that.
Right? Yeah.
Anyway.
And here's the hammer for driving the stake in those
Yeah,
vampires.
So if you like an independent journalist, blogger, cartoonist, please support them however they need supporting.
Yeah, please do, please. I noticed that in the lawsuit by the party that is opposing Nate Pike,
That party, yep.
the parties opposing Nate Pike, that they're seeking $1 million in exemplary damages. Oh Lord! That is to say, they're asking for $5 million for defamation and I think kind of.
I'm trying to figure out exemplary.
And to restate, a podcaster who read headlines from mainstream publications into a microfilm.
Yeah.
Yeah. You might as well read the phone book and take the court for that.
He also read documents provided by the provincial government
under the Freedom of
on
Information.
freedom of information. So, and never actually, I was very clear that these are things that I know. These are things that I have read.
Actually, I remember being like, boy, he's being incredibly obtuse. I hope this covers his ass. Turns out, no.
Well, sure.
Until Alberta has anti-slap legislation, then there is no ass covering that will suffice.
And this is what I'm hoping for, is that the judge goes, you, the allegedly aggrieved party, are right. There should be exemplary damages levied. Against you, this is a slap suit.
Yeah.
This is
strategic lawsuit against public participation.
Yep. And you should not be allowed to do that. So we're going to fine you, let's say, $1 million or $6 million, and that fund shall be set aside. First paid Nate's damages and court costs and all that stuff, but all the exemplary damages, whatever gets awarded, goes into a fund for the defense for other people who are hit with slap suits.
Yeah, it's scary that it's taking as long as it is to get there. We're confident that it's going to get there, ish.
I'm as confident as we can be.
And I'm getting older.
For Nate's sake, I hope it's
like. I hope it's Tuesday. By Tuesday, we get this squared away because it goes well.
It was we're not going to make a real decision here on Friday, but
so if anyone out there has institutional security and liability lawyers and wants me to do a comic deep dive into the AHS scandal, by all means let me know. It won't be happening until then.
So you can cover his ass.
Yeah, we can. And if it
but
looks,
it does need to be talked about.
Keep talking. I believe is one of the things. Keep it top of mind. Right. And it would be nice. And I'm gonna throw this out here. And if it's not you, maybe it's somebody else. If there was just like a nice little single panel that could highlight or recall from the zeitgeist what it is to silence the media, right? Like it doesn't even have to be about this particular case, but just because this is
just a general reminder of the media is important.
This is the one that I know about because this is the one that's in my feed. Right. This is the one that's in my circle that matters to me. I assume this kind of thing is happening all kinds of places.
I mean, there's a double-edged sword, and I think it either way works for me because the legacy media is afforded some protections, but there are a bunch of, let's call them citizen journalists for now. Some of them, I think they're all entitled to whatever, and I don't think any of them should be shut down this way. Mark Slapinski, carry on with your weirdness. Yeah. But like. Right? Like
yep. You're free to be weird. Do your thing.
Danielle fetish is weird. Whatever.
Marlena?
Yes. I still call it Twitter. It's only fair. Yeah. So it's one of those things, though, that wrong as he is, I don't think it's up to the government or a slap suit to keep him quiet, right? It's up to his readers to stop reading his crap so that he doesn't publish his crap anymore. But he's still allowed to publish his crap. Like that's like I'm okay with that. You go ahead, dude.
I try not to even click on anything of his because I don't want him to get any money.
This is the debate I have now: is if I respond to this now, they get money because they have a blue check mark. Or as an acquaintance of ours would point out, way to pay for a free app. I'm the stupid one, though. That's where I got to bring that mug one day.
I'm the stupid one?
That'll be a new mug. I'm the stupid one. It goes with my mug now that says useless liberal moron. Because
You've been called that too.
At least
it matches my T-shirt that says pseudo-intellectual.
Oh, yeah, we have those because Yale Belanger.
I didn't know you had merch.
Yeah, we don't
not yet.
We could. But we could.
Have you ever been labeled in I'll call it mainstream media, but I mean the Lethbridge Herald, as a pseudo-intellectual and or keyboard warrior?
I've been called out. I don't know if officially, definitely in the roasts and toasts. Why is that still a thing?
Yeah, because 3 Lines Free went away in the mailing list.
So yes, I also get people calling me at my other jobs or criticizing any city gigs that I get. I think my favorite line that I heard was, "Why did they award this public art contract to someone who hates his city so much and writes comics about how much he hates the city?"
I actually never got that from your work.
No, not really.
No, I actually
get speaking out would imply an inherent care and wanting to participate in the place where one is living, but that was not the feelings of the book.
You haven't lived in Lethbridge your entire life,
Absolutely
have you?
not. No. It's only been 10 years.
So, but you chose to live here.
Correct.
I mean, that begs the question, why?
How did you get here?
I grew up in central Alberta and was in Calgary for probably 10 or so years. And then around 2006 or 7, the oil boom in Calgary made those with unconventional employment very difficult to make an end to things in Calgary. So we ran away to New Brunswick for 6 or 7 years. And then my wife got her master's while we were doing that, and looking for work, found an institution here in Lethbridge that was very much in line with her teaching philosophies, and also coincided with her folks retiring to Lethbridge, and so a lot of things fell into place for that to be here. I was thinking that I would have to sort of make up or force the idea of learning new things and coming to a place that I didn't understand until I realized that Southern Alberta is absolutely nothing like Central Alberta, climate, politics, or critters and wildlife.
Yep.
And so it has been no end of fascination to me. Not since the 90s. Yes, there was a biogeographical island of squirrels in the 90s. If you see a squirrel like everyone else does, send me a message and a photo.
That's right.
On 17th Avenue. 17th Avenue South.
Really?
And
when?
Oh no, ages ago. Like
yes. That was like that was that. Yeah. The not one in the 90s.
There were two populations. One on 7th Avenue. There was one over by I'm going to say by Randy's old house.
Is that like Gyro Park kind of area?
No,
or what are we talking about?
Almost to the Sugar Bowl.
Oh,
the place where the Virginia creeper grows up and across the street.
Mm-hmm.
There used to be squirrels living there.
Very nice.
Wonder why Lethbridge no squirrels.
It's probably because we have a really high density predators now that we've stopped poisoning all the birds of prey.
Yeah.
And also there is likely because it's no established generations of them. Any that do happen to breed here they're so isolated that there's not going to be enough genetic diversity for them to thrive. I've got photo evidence of one who survived 2 Christmases but never found a mate, and that one's gone now too. That was on 6th Ave.
I was thinking about
6th
that.
Street.
Being in my Red Deer time, even I was like, oh look, they're everywhere. You walk down the creek and they're everywhere. Yeah.
Now red squirrels, if we had those, that's sort of normal. That would make sense for them to be here. It's the invasive gray squirrels from Calgary that are the problem.
There are a ton of those in Calgary.
Oh boy, yeah. They'll mug you in an alley.
No, take my nuts, please.
I saw one
So
beat
when
up a
you say
cat once.
Central Alberta, so this is a thing in my brain.
Yeah.
Having been to the Northwest Territory a couple of times now, Central Alberta is Edmonton.
Like, so if you talk about the middle
it's a
third,
colonial term for sure.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a colonial term for sure. Yeah.
So you're in and around the Calgary zone when you say this.
So I was born in Elnora, Alberta, and grew up in Red Deer.
Red Deer is central populated Alberta.
It's not
Aspen
bad.
territory. What do they call that? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to think of what we call that in our ADFA thing. That's where I went to college.
Oh,
Red
really?
Deer College. Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah. Back
Yes.
when it still had a theater program.
Very good and amazing music program.
It still had one of those too. It has
Incredible
neither of those things now.
Fine arts program.
It doesn't really have that anymore.
And it's a challenge. And you rebrand something Polytechnic, and already the money starts going into very different places.
Yeah, and out of different places. And we don't have time to delve into all the thoughts about Alberta budgeting.
We have 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It does. That last half just flies. Doesn't
Everyone in post-secondary who's experiencing that, we love you. Hang in there.
Hang in there.
I won't say it'll be okay, but
Hang in there. Yeah, it's
Oh,
just.
I value the people that put in that amount of effort. I rely on all of you specialists to be the amazing generalist I am.
I like that.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, but like you got to work at trusting those specialists. It's like a lot of work. You got to find the good ones.
Yeah, it's tough being an expert generalist.
It really is.
You have to know when to say nope, it's not me.
Yeah,
and that was me after writing 9 panels of comic strip.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't even know. I know where one of them is.
That.
Well, I was bored in a meeting, and so I was doodling, and I doodled.
Man versus
How
the
hateful!
Needler.
How hateful are these 9 panels?
They're not.
Is that a thing? Do you just get
And
angry?
this is my
and that's
boss's intestines wrapped
So
around.
no, I invented Sock Puppet Man,
Ooh.
who was going to save Timmy from the boring PowerPoint.
Very good.
I'll save you.
That's so funny. Sock puppet means something in the computer world, doesn't it?
Maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks, Sock Puppet Man. I got your back, Timmy.
I mean, I found that way on the back end from Lost Sock Media.
Yep.
I'm just saying.
Who is your audience even?
So it's the world. It's the world.
At least 5 people on
the Facebooks.
Facebook.
Hooray!
And other people watch it later. You know,
It's
at their
true.
convenience.
My bookkeeper often tunes in while she's
Really?
making supper later. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
My in-laws are traveling right now, and they're going to watch it when they
I don't
when they get
watch.
home.
It's weird. It's weird watching.
It is weird.
If you were to make a political cartoon about this,
Ooh.
about the importance of political cartoons,
That's a really good.
I look forward
I
to seeing
suspect
it.
it would involve some oversized cups of coffee.
These are
Yes.
shooters. What are you talking about?
Shots. I think that's it. I challenge you, sir.
As an espresso guy, I feel like I'm drinking from a dog dish.
Drinking from a fire hose. Yeah.
But all of us, we love the sippy cups. It keeps it out.
Yeah.
Why didn't
I took the beard off.
Well, I'm sorry.
I did. I'll show you later. I got my evil Star Trek twin picture in the meeting. They took this part off first and kept the. Oh.
You'll have to update your show image now.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, he's getting ready to cut us off.
Who's first? Zod or Neil? Neil before Zod. Well, thanks. Thank you, Eric.
Where's your audience even?
You were here, and that's why we put you there.
What did you say? It's for us, for making sense of it ourselves,
Exploring
it for ourselves,
and then sharing because we think it matters.
There's going to be other people feeling the same way.
Yep. Yeah. So thanks, Eric, for joining us today.
Absolutely.
Do you have a space online that people can find you?
EricDick.com. You can support me at patreon.com/slaughterhouse-slew. And certainly just sharing and, exposing other people to the work of independent media people and cartoonists in Alberta is a big deal. So please do it.
There you go.
Yep, check him out. Eric Dick, D-Y-C-K?
Yes.
Eric, like just regular?
ERIC?
DYCK.com.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thanks again, and this has been How Did You Get There? We'll see you in a fortnight when we talk about something else.
Fortnite.
Yeah, not that. Probably not talking about Fortnite.
Building the stairs as I run up to take the shot. Different kind of Fortnite.
Different kind
Thanks,
of
Jess.
Lights, camera, action, that's it.